Alright, so this video we're going to be going over the 4 to 20 milliamp BCI actuator, how to test it and adjust it if necessary. So right now I've pulled out all the different items that we need for testing it, and we'll go over that step by step. So first of all, we've got our instructions here, and those are going to be on a clipboard, this clipboard right here, and that is kept in electrical. Based off of our instructions, what we're going to want to do is we want to pull out the Honeywell UDC. It's got a red tag on it that says 4 to 20 OK. And then based off of our instructions, we're going to be pulling from the UDC. There is a red and black wire, and those are going to be going into the 70 and 71 terminals within the BCI actuator. And then we're also going to be, according to our instructions, putting in a power cord for our 110 voltage, and that'll be going into, as you can see here, we've got the white in L, black in N, and then our ground in PE. And again, all this wiring is on the instructions themselves, which are in the clipboard. Alright, so we've come to this point. We've got it wired up the way that we want it. We've got our UDC set up. Now it's just a matter of plugging it in and making sure everything works. Alright, so we have everything plugged in, and right now I'm going to be going over how to operate the UDC. So we've got our UDC plugged in, and if you, with these orange arrows down here, start going up, we'll start seeing that the number starts to slowly increase. If you want to go faster on that, you can tap the other orange button. It'll jump over a digit and it'll start to go up faster. So right now I'm going to be opening up to 100%, and we want to make sure that the actuator, as you can hear, opens up until we hear 2 clicks, which is mean it is opened up 100% of the way. And that is how you operate the UDC. Now if we want to go down, decrease it to 0, hit the down button, tap the other arrow, and that'll speed up the process a little bit. And we'll get all the way back down to 0. Alright, there it is. So we've opened it up all the way and closed it down all the way, and on both ends we hear the double click, and that is the cams on the inside of the actuator itself. There is a set of cams in there. There is a white one, a black one, a beige one, and a gray one, and those correspond to the closed and open positions for the actuator itself. In this next part of the video, we're going to be making sure that the calibration on the actuator is within the stops that are part of the internal mechanism here of the actuator. We want to make sure that as it's actuating all the way open or all the way closed, it's not running into those stops, which would cause the BCI actuator to, over a pretty quick period of time, to burn itself out and need to be replaced. So to do that with the 4 to 20 milliamp, what you want to do is you actually want to unplug the actuator itself and start to manually actuate it. At this point we've got it in the all the way closed position, so I'm going to start to actuate it even further closed, doing it manually, and then I've met some solid resistance there, so I know that that is the limit of it, but that I am within the limit there. Alright, so what you want to make sure happens is you want to make sure the cams on the inside come to a stop and do a double click before you actually hit the internal stops. There it is. I've met the resistance right there. And you want to do that on both the closed position and then also on the open position. So you want to go ahead, open up the actuator completely, unplug the actuator, and then continue manually to operate the actuator until you reach that internal stop where it meets a strong amount of resistance and doesn't want to open up anymore. If in the process of calibrating the BCI actuator or testing the BCI actuator, the open and closed positions are too close to those internal stops, what needs to be done then is the cams need to be adjusted. Now those cams, again, we've got a white one, a black one, a beige one, and a gray one. And all of those cams can be adjusted by using a flathead screwdriver, smaller one. And then if we get a little bit closer here, you'll see there are small rings inside, and they have colors that go around them. And we've got one for each color. So if a cam needs to be adjusted, you just need to press in and then turn to the left or to the right, depending on how you want or how it needs to be adjusted. Now, the reason that you would have to adjust that on the 4 to 20 milliamp BCI actuator is if you have the actuator in a fully closed or open position and it is too close to the internal stops, or it's starting to run into the internal stops. We don't want to get too close to those internal stops because, as I mentioned before, that's a good way to run this BCI actuator and burn it up, basically. So you want to make sure there is a decent amount of room in between the stops for the cam itself. You can see there it's all the way in the closed position, and the cams, the black and the gray one, are preventing it from going any further. Now if we actuated it manually, we would want there to be a good 2 to 3, if not more, turns manually before we hit the internal stop. If it's closer than that, you're going to need to adjust those cams so that those cams tell the actuator to stop a little bit before that point. So, and then again, you want to do that for the closed, and then you can see over there it says open, and you want to make sure you're changing the corresponding cams as you make those adjustments. Okay, so at this point we have tested and calibrated this BCI actuator here, the 4 to 20 milliamp BCI actuator. The next step would then be to have the manufacturing manager do a quality control check on it to make sure that it is approved. The quality control manager would then, as you can see here, this one has already been approved, would then sign it with their initials so that we know that it's been tested. You then go ahead, remove all the wiring, put the cover back on right here. Make sure all of the necessary paperwork that came with it is included. And then finally, we have a red tag here, and you can see this tag just has some warranty information. This tag will get included as well. It'll get zip tied right onto the side here, and be included also and closed up after everything has been completed. Once that's done, it can be passed off to whoever's in charge of the shipping and receiving, and they will take it from there and do with it whatever they need to do, whether it's going into stock or already going out for a specific job. And this is what the 4 to 20 milliamp BCI actuator will look like when it's completely done. We've got the tag along the side. Everything is back and installed. We haven't put the cover on yet, but it's right there. And it's in the fully closed position. So the last thing you'd do then is you'd take some pictures of it to log it, and then it's done.